see him get knocked down a peg.
Punk is shaking. The end of the track for him could be near. And here we go.
Right to the face. That knee is a lethal weapon. Hazardous situation for CM Punk.
He's still in this fight.
Unbelievable. I thought Punk was done for sure.
Hello there, everybody. My name is Jarrett, also known as Jay Braska online on Xbox and right here on YouTube. Today we are taking a look at my first creation on WWE 2K25. That is, of course, as you can see on the screen, the man himself, Heath Ledger's version of the Joker from The Dark Knight. I've been creating this character in the 2K games and even the wrestling games from THQ before 2K for a very, very, very long time, pretty much ever since The Dark Knight came out. So there are essentially two versions in this character. There's two attires. One is his main outfit from the movie, and the second is an original version that I kind of imagined would be what Heath's version of the Joker would wear if he were actually within the WWE. So now that our recording footage has started here, I'm starting with a face texture I did up in Photoshop for Heath. You don't ever really actually see his skin underneath all the makeup, but I thought it helped to at least get the face started. You'll see as we're going through here, I'll come back and revisit the morph of the face and kind of the shapes of different things as we go. But this is always a really good place to start. So just let it continue here a little bit. And as you can see, before I started this recording, I had kind of pre-put together the main pieces of the outfit that we are going to be doing, so that I can focus this video mostly on all the textures and showing you how some of the stuff comes together. Full disclosure, this video is highly sped up, roughly 500%. It's mostly 500% throughout all of it, but it does slow down in some areas. But essentially I took about a 4.5 hour piece of video recording and squashed it down so that we can get it into under 20 minutes. And we'll take a couple breaks as we're going to look at some other things. So here's the first lay of the face paint that's going on. What I'm doing here is I switched it to the spherical mapping so that I could get the makeup a little bit wider on the face, and then I put a second layer of the face paint over the top of that because it kind of fades out on the edges if it doesn't do that, and I wanted it to go as wide around his face as possible. So once you get it in the right position, it goes in here. I've kind of always had a little bit of an issue with getting the nostrils on the nose to line up quite perfectly. Sometimes they don't, and I just end up going with it, and it's not super noticeable anyway. But so here I'm going back into the face, kind of as I mentioned before. I'm rounding out the nose a little bit, bringing the tip of it down just a little bit. And then going back to do the main textures. We're going to start with the shirt here. The shirt is actually pretty interesting. It's built in multiple pieces. This is a pattern that it took me a long time to get quite right. Several years of kind of trying to make this pattern. Eventually I ended up going into Photoshop and drawing this all out myself, so that it was a perfectly repeating pattern and filled an entire 512 by 512 size canvas, so that when you switch to the spherical mapping way to apply the textures on the character, it will wrap all the way around, and if you make it go as wide as possible, you'll see that they just connect and it makes a seamless texture. That helps a lot for getting the arms done, and like if I was going to apply it to the entire torso. The part that's hard that you're looking at me doing right now is the shoulder areas, because that's where the seams of where the textures kind of have to line up, and they kind of overlap. So I'm using two different kinds of projection on there. There's the default and the spherical version. The spherical version on the arms, but then the regular version up on the shoulders there, and it's all just kind of a game that you have to play, adjusting the scale one way or the other, and then kind of moving things up, down, left, right. But every time you move it up or down or left or right, it also rotates it in that position. So it's a struggle. This section here probably took a solid, I don't know, close to an hour. So now I'm working on that same texture on the main part of the shirt in the middle. It's actually going under the tie, because the tie is a separate piece. Which is good. Then this new image here is another one that I have sourced from different images of Heath in costume. It doesn't fit this vest completely, but with the way that the projection works on it, it kind of works close enough. It gets most of the thing on there. And then what I did from there was adjusted the color of the vest itself to match the green in there a little bit. It loses some of the texture near the edges, but it matches pretty well. And then of course we're back in here resizing the face. A lot of times, if you look at Heath's face in the movie, the prosthetics that they apply to his face to get the scars on his mouth kind of really puff out his cheeks a little bit and his lower jaw. So what I'm doing here is making his cheeks like wider and puffier. It helps to sell kind of the effect a little bit. See, it looks much better here now that I've done that. Next, we're going to be moving into the hair. Looks like I wasn't quite happy with some of the face shape still. But yes, next we will be moving into the hair. His hair is just set to brown at the moment. And we are going to be going in and using the hair dye tool. The hair dye tool is pretty cool, but it requires a lot of... It's tedious to use. You have to select your color every time, and you have the ability to undo things, but you only get to click it twice. So if you have pushed if you have pushed the A button to apply a spot of color to the hair, like tapped it and it just applied a little circle, and then you did like a whole big thing, and you've touched it twice, you can only undo twice. So if you happen to have done 3 times and you want to do 3 things, you have to. It's a little tedious to work with, but you can make some neat stuff with it. Unfortunately, it's not the brush in the game is A, hard to do with a controller, and B, it doesn't feather the color out at all. And what I mean by feather is like it doesn't soften the edge of the color. It's pretty much a straight shot. It's gonna do one solid color from edge to edge of where you're holding it, and you kind of have to, in order to get the more subtle shading, you have to do it all basically manually by subtly changing the color and then reapplying it in spots. This is pretty much everything that I'm doing here is just trying to soften that line between where his hair is brown near the roots and where it's turning more green. And then eventually you'll see me get into the brighter, more saturated green near the back of his hair on some of the strands. I didn't want to apply it everywhere. And in fact, the color of the hair looks okay if you make it all one solid color, but as I've been going through and making this character every year, I've always wanted to level him up every year. So the last couple of years I've been making sure that I do this this custom hair dye in there, and it's subtle, but when you notice it, it really adds a lot, especially if the camera's in close. So we're getting close to done here. Close to done here with the hair anyway. Next up, we will be going back into the entrance attire for the character. And there's a few challenges there because you have to get rid of... First, you have to duplicate the attire over onto the entrance attire, the slot next to it, which is what's happening here. And then I have to reapply some of the same textures to what looks like it would be a really helpful piece of clothing in the creation suite, but it's less helpful when you need to add textures to it, because as you're about to see, when you apply the textures to it, they go over every piece of the clothing. So I'll get all the colors set on this piece, and then I go in and you'll see me pick the same textures that I was using for the regular attire. So I'll apply the pattern that goes over the shirt, but that will also show up on top of the tie and on top of the vest. So then I have to block out the tie with a couple of shapes that are set to be the same color as the tie. And then after I have the tie blocked out, then I need to add the texture back for the vest. The texture for the vest actually works really well in this sense because a couple of years ago when I was making this same character, I went in and took a really good screenshot and then took that screenshot into Photoshop and made the texture custom so that it would fit and line up with the buttons as well as I could, and it worked pretty well. And then of course the last step is choosing a coat. I liked this coat. I like this coat a lot. I don't know that I love the flower, but I stuck with it at first. I ended up changing it, and we're about to see his entrance. Here's the new coat. And what sold me on this coat is it comes with a vest underneath it that's already really nice and pretty well textured. Oh, there's the secondary attire that you're going to see me build out here in a minute. But what sold me on that coat was when I changed the material on it to the velour material. It just made everything work so nice. The texture on it, the colors, like it was perfect. And it also enabled me to kind of redo the shirt and the tie underneath, and made them work really well. But I also still really love the second attire here that you see fading in and out. So we're going to pop back into the creation suite again, and we'll start by duplicating this attire again. Bring it over to attire 2 for the ring attire. Then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go in and we are going to delete out all of the clothing that's on his top, as well as his pants. And then eventually we'll change the boots too. So all the clothes are gone. I'm picking out the pants first. These are, I believe, Superstar Billy Graham's pants. And because of what I found with the coat, using the velour material, I applied that to these pants too, and it made a big difference for how the logos pop. Because the logos, when you put logos on top of stuff, no matter what you set your material options on your pieces of clothing for, the material that shows up for the images that are laid over it, the images take on the material properties of the original item of clothing. So if the original item of clothing was shiny, the logos will look shiny regardless of what you have your materials set to. So I really like the way that these play with the velour. They kind of pop a little bit. I'm making sure to emboss each one of them to give them a little bit of a bump, kind of a bump map style type thing. This last one here is a nice little Why So Serious. I would go into further detail about where I got all these images, but it's I've done an unhealthy amount of Googling of Joker images over the years, and have just been collecting all these things for the purpose of putting them in this game, or these games. So I knew exactly what boots I was going for, pretty much the pants that I was going for, and I got those all in there. The next step is this shirt that I'm going to apply. I really like this shirt. I like that it's tucked in, but still kind of not tucked in over on the one side. So I kind of I get it applied there. It's going to be purple, and you'll see the two logos that I'm going to use. The front it's like a tuxedo shirt, but the tuxedo is definitely Joker's whole thing. And on the back there's a really cool Why So Serious graphic that I found. And with that, the character's real close to being wrapped up. Since I realized a little late here that I didn't add the Why So Serious graphic to the belt like I wanted before I duplicated the attire over to the entrance attire. I'm applying it here on the entrance attire, and then I'll duplicate it back over onto the ring attire, and then we'll just delete the shirt, and it's back to how it should be. Anyway, the video is basically done here. We're going to play out with some footage of the character doing some more stuff. If you like this content, please give me a subscribe and maybe ring that bell, and comment down below if there's anything else you want to see or a suggestion. I'm looking forward to the conversation, and I will see you guys again sometime soon with another character creation. Have a good one.
With this loss tonight. Few people hate losing as much as CM Punk does.
Yeah, you can see the frustration on his face.